Couch Chats is a series of real, open, honest, and raw chats with some inspiring friends and women I have had the privilege to meet along my entrepreneurial journey. So I wanted to share these casual interview chats with you all to leave you feeling empowered and inspired. I am your host, Jess Williamson, a serial entrepreneur and business coach. I am so excited to be here today. I am going to be talking to you all about being quieter. Why being quiet doesn't have to be a bad thing, and why we don't have to live up to the extrovert ideal that society tells us is what success looks like, what confidence looks like, because there is so much power in being quieter, in being someone that is maybe more introverted in a world that just keeps talking. So I'm here to share with you why you don't have to be the loudest in the room to be heard, to make an impact, and to be powerful and successful. Like, we have the power to do so much. And I think for so long, society has told us that being quiet is maybe not the most preferred, personality trait when it comes to success, when it comes to confidence, and all of that. And so I've been doing a lot of self-discovery lately and realizing that it can be a huge strength. It can be a huge benefit to actually be a little bit more quiet in this world that is moving at such a fast pace that everyone wants to be heard. And so I'm going to be sharing with you a ton of my own stories and also some advices for you guys, because I recently did share a reel on my Instagram. Go and check it out. It's at jess.williamson8. And the reel said, you don't have to be the loudest in the room to make an impact, to be successful, and to be powerful. And that is something that I really, truly believe. However, I've not always believed that. I used to think that I had to be more loud, I had to be more buoyant or vibrant or jumping out of my seat. I had to be the woo hype girl, and that is just not me. Like, it's so unnatural for me. It's not who I am. And so for so long, I'd been thinking that I had to be louder, I had to be more crazy, I had to be out there. And lately I've been seeing a lot of people laying it on thick with the swear words, with the wild language and all of that. And cool, that's amazing. They found themselves, that's who they are. But I've only heard stories about, I used to be so quiet and timid, and now here I am, and I'm so comfortable with swearing and being super loud and all of that. That's the stories that I keep hearing. And I started to believe them. That's true for them, and that is amazing that they have found that they have, taken that path and realized that that's who they are at the core, because society also did tell us, a lot that we shouldn't be swearing, we're women and all of this. However, society is still telling us, or we're still telling ourselves, and we're guilty of it in ourselves, that being quiet is not always the best thing. So I'm going to jump in and share a couple of examples for you guys. Over my self-discovery journey, I've realized these things. Now, I'm not sitting here every day thinking, I'm too quiet, I'm too boring, but these are thoughts that have crossed my mind over my lifetime. And through my self-discovery, I've remembered these stories that maybe didn't seem that significant at the time, or that I didn't think, had a massive impact on me. However, through this, I've realized that this is me. This is who I am. This is who I'm going to show up to be. So I'm sharing these examples because it might just trigger something in you, something that you might realize that, wow, I'm actually doing that, because most of the time we don't even realize that we're setting these ideals for ourselves. So, as I said, my whole life I did think, maybe I needed to be louder. Maybe I did need to be more energetic or outspoken to be noticed or to be liked. And there's definitely nothing wrong with being extroverted and being loud. Like, celebrate who you are. But I know that this is actually something that a lot of people actually feel. I put out that reel the other day on my Instagram, And I got a bunch of DMs from amazing women out there who were like, thanks, Jess, like this really resonated. I didn't even realize that this was something that I was struggling with because no one talks about it. So I'm here to talk about it for all of those quieter people out there who maybe fly under the radar sometimes. This is for you. There really is a lot of huge strength in sometimes being quieter, in accepting that that's who you are, in maybe being more of a listener. There's a lot of strengths in that, and I'm going to go into those a little bit as well. But I know that I am a quieter person. I always have been, and I always will be. I have gained a lot more confidence over the years, and that's what I'm going to go into as well. Confidence and being quieter or being an introvert are not mutually exclusive. They can exist together. But I do know that I love one-on-one conversations over being in a crowded room and having a lot of small talk. I love those deep connections. I love listening and learning about other people, and that's just who I am. That's what I love. However, throughout my life, I have felt that maybe I'm boring, or maybe I don't have anything important to share. And so I'm here to share with you guys that that does not have to be the case. One example of where this has shown up for me in my life was when I was fresh out of uni. I was eager to get going. I was ready to hit the ground running. I was so passionate. I used to do a lot of my own learning, extracurricular activities, because it was something that I really loved. I studied marketing and management, and I really found a passion in that. And I was fresh out of uni. I was applying for every job out there. And now I got a lot of interviews because I had a lot of great stuff on my resume. I'd done a lot of things. I'd gained a lot of experience. And I was more qualified or had more experience than a lot of just fresh graduates usually do. So I did land a lot of interviews. Then the interviews came and I was so freaking nervous. I was probably also lacking a bit of confidence at that time as well. However, because I was more quiet, because I was not in there being super extroverted, being super loud, or didn't come across as super confident, I didn't get the jobs. I went for so many job interviews. I probably could hold a record on how many interviews I'd been to. And this was obviously well before I started my entrepreneurial journey. But I had so many interviews and I didn't get the job. Usually it was someone who was a bit more loud, a bit more vibrant, whatever it was. And I would always ask for feedback, because I think the best way to grow, the best way to learn is to ask for feedback. Most of the time people didn't give it to me, but those few times that they did, the feedback came back that they maybe thought I wasn't confident in the job, or they thought I was maybe a little bit too quiet for their really crazy and fun workplace, which was, you know, an advertising agency, and everyone there has a really huge personality, and they just thought maybe it wouldn't be the right fit. That started to make me think, and this is not the first time I'd heard it, but being quiet was a bad thing, and that I had to be more loud and extroverted and engage in small talk and all of this thing in order to be successful, in order to land the jobs. But I was super confident in my abilities. I just wasn't that great at communicating it or convincing others, and people often associate being quiet with your abilities, being quiet with confidence. They're not the same thing. And so, you know, I definitely wasn't super confident at that time, but I was really confident in my abilities. I knew that if they gave me that job, I would be the best hire they have ever had. But I didn't get that chance to show them until I finally landed a job, and they really valued my work. And it was a great thing for me because I knew I could do it. People just didn't necessarily see that because they saw me as a quiet, shy girl who maybe is a little bit more introverted. So that's just one example that I wanted to share, because society does have this ideal that being extroverted is preferred. So I just wanted to start by creating a little bit of awareness around that. And if you are an extrovert, go for it. Like, amazing. I love that as well. But I'm just sharing it from a different point of view because I feel like this point of view doesn't necessarily get shared a lot. Another example where I've had this show up in my life with friends, and quite often being quiet is associated with being boring or not as fun. And I was actually told by one of my friends in uni, like, we're not 10 years old right now. One of my friends in uni said, hey Jess, I'm so glad we're friends. When we first met, I didn't think I'd like you, and my parents even said we wouldn't be friends because you're just too quiet for me. And she thought that was a nice compliment at the time, and she meant well. However, to me that said, and I didn't consciously think, oh my gosh, quiet is so bad, but it started to make me think that, and it's just started to reinforce that message in my head that being fun equals being loud. Being quiet is not as fun. And, by her saying, I didn't think we'd be friends because you're a bit too quiet for me, but you're really fun once I get to know you or once you came out of your shell, it's just starting to reinforce that message. Now, that didn't upset me at the time. It's very hard to upset me. I don't get upset very easily by things like that. I'm not precious, but that is adding to that story that is being told in society and also inside my own head as well, subconsciously. So while that might sound harsh, they thought they were giving a compliment, and it's sort of what society tells you as well. I have gone through life thinking maybe people think I'm boring because I am a little bit more quiet, but there is a lot of depth there. And so if you are a bit more quiet in here, I'm sure you've got a lot of depth, a lot of amazing things about you, a lot of things to share, and a lot of valuable things to share as well. So those are just a couple of examples that I've come across in my life. Now, it probably sounds like I've had massive hang-ups on these, but I haven't. On all honesty, I've only really realized that these stories played a part in my life more recently when I've done more self-discovery. And maybe there are things that you're currently doing that you don't even realize you're doing as well. So the reason why I share these is just more so to show that it exists. That extrovert ideal in society, that, vibrant, buoyant personality, that hype girl, it does exist. But I'm here to share with you guys the lessons that I've learned and a bit of a different perspective to encourage you to embrace all of you, even that quiet side. You don't have to try and be more loud or more extroverted to be accepted, to be successful, to be powerful, and to make an impact. So I actually spoke to a few people on Instagram after I did post that reel for the first time, sharing that, you don't have to be the loudest in the room to make an impact. And some of the responses that I had was that some of the ladies felt uncomfortable in the spotlight. Some of them thought that at work, people probably think they're dumb because they don't say anything in group meetings. Other people said that being quieter makes them sometimes even feel guilty, inadequate, or even anxious. And that's okay. And so many more. There were so many conversations, and I really, really valued that. So thank you to all the ladies that did reach out to me on Instagram. And if you are listening to this and realize anything or got anything out of that, please do reach out to me on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. Send me a DM because I do reply to everyone, because I think we need to start more conversations around this. But I want to help change that. I want to help you be proud of yourself, be confident, and embrace those quieter traits because they are special. But just because you're quieter doesn't mean you shouldn't be celebrating yourself. You shouldn't be celebrating the wins or being proud of yourself. That more so comes from possibly confidence, and you can be confident and quiet. I'm not here to say let's all be confident and be extroverts and be super loud, but I want you to understand that it can exist together. So I've given you guys a few examples. Often that confidence and skill or knowledge is attributed with how loud or quiet you are. And when someone's more quiet, people tend to assume, and we're all guilty of that as well, we tend to assume that they're more nervous, they're maybe inexperienced, or maybe not as fun. However, throughout my journey, I realized that that is not true, and it doesn't have to be true for you either. So I want to distinguish here between gaining confidence and being loud or something that you're not, firstly, because you can be both, or you can be a quiet and introvert and also confident, because I've done it. I used to be quiet, introverted, shy, and not confident, or not as confident, but I've done a lot of personal growth. And I've built up that confidence over the past few years. And no, it wasn't always comfortable. But you guys, if I can do it, you guys can do it too. So I would have never actually spoken on here. I would have probably never have shown up here in the past. I would have never gone on stages and spoken. I would have never done many, many things if I sat behind the fact that I was quiet. And I allowed that to not let me be confident, to not realize that I actually had an important message to share, to realize that my voice matters as well. Yes, I'm not the loudest person in the room, but when I do say something, it's going to damn well have an impact. Because when you are quieter, when you have these traits, it doesn't mean you have to sit behind the scenes. You can still show up in your own way. You can show up and be confident. It's, in the energy that you bring to a room. I prefer one-on-one deeper connections and chats. I prefer that over having small talk in big groups. And in those kind of situations, I do tend to step back and sit back a little bit. It's just not what I enjoy. And secondly, I am a great listener. Being quieter means that you can listen. You can be more aware of what's going on within yourself, within others. You can listen and get to know people. And this has really helped me in my coaching because I've been able to go out there and I don't tell people what they need. I help people, and this is one of the things I am so passionate about, is helping you unleash your potential. Helping you realize what is it that you actually want to do. What is it that you actually want to achieve at your core? Not what society tells you, not what your mum tells you, not what your partner tells you, but what you really want to do and what you really want to achieve. And I can only do that by listening, by asking the right questions, by helping you figure that out. That is something that is super powerful. I'm not just here to tell you guys what to do. I'm here to help and support you through that journey. Someone actually said to me throughout my DM conversations, yes, Jess, I am more quiet. I like to let others shine. I like to sit down while others stand up and shine. Something that I wanted to address with that is two things. That's okay if that's what you truly want to do. But secondly, I suspect there may be some mindset blocks there or limiting beliefs around that. And that's something that I would dig deeper into. But maybe you're actually thinking, I don't deserve success, so I'm going to sit back and let others deserve it. Maybe you're thinking, I can't achieve that, so I'm not going to try. I'll let others try and do it, and I'll sit back and watch and celebrate with them. There are many limiting beliefs that may come up, and so I don't want you to confuse that. Because yes, I want you to embrace being quieter and being yourself and being who you are. However, I don't want you to use that as a crutch or use that as an excuse to not chase after your dreams, because you are deserving of whatever you put your mind to. You are deserving and capable of chasing your dreams, of creating the wildest reality for yourself that you've dreamed of. And everyone deserves that, and you can do it. Like I said, I never thought I would be up there speaking on stages, but yet here I am, and I love it. I have something that I want to share with people, and I say to myself, if I can just share it with one person, then that's all that matters to me. And so I might even do a few more podcast episodes around that in terms of, how to become more confident when you are a little bit more quiet, or how to show up online when you are more quiet or introverted, because I've been there. People say, Jess, you're so amazing at public speaking, at jumping on podcasts, jumping on social media, talking on there. Guess what? It took practice. I didn't wake up one day and fist pump in the air and like, woo, let's go and jump online. No, it was bloody uncomfortable. Took me a long, long time to get there, but I have a few skills and strategies that I'm going to share with you guys maybe in the future that can help you with that as well. So I just wanted to address that. Firstly, you don't have to be super loud and extroverted to be confident. Secondly, please try and distinguish between being a quieter person and having limiting beliefs, because we don't want to hold yourself back. You are deserving of everything you dream of and more. And I want you to take that away from this podcast today. But we all should be celebrating our wins. Another common theme that was coming across when I was sharing this is like, yes, we don't need to share our wins. We're happy behind the scenes and that's fine, partly. But we all do need to celebrate our wins. The thing is, every time we celebrate our wins, and you can go and listen to my podcast about making 2021 the best year yet, I talk all about celebration. We need to be celebrating our wins. There's so many reasons why, so go and have a listen to my last podcast on making 2021 the best year, and I'll tell you all about that. But we should be celebrating our wins. We should be proud of our achievements. We should be celebrating the journey, not just the destination. There are so many reasons why we should be proud of ourselves and what we've achieved. It doesn't mean that just because you're quieter, you don't get to do that. So that's a few takeaways that I want you guys to take from this, because there are strengths. You have so much strength inside of you. You can make a huge impact. There are so many introverts in history that have made huge impacts that haven't had to be the loudest person in the room. I want you guys to take this and lean into your strengths. Lean into your deeper connections that you prefer one-on-one. I enjoy that. Lean into being more self-aware and reflective. Lean into the fact that, you're a great listener, that you can go out there and help people. And something that I always thought was a weakness was that I'm more of a listener than a speaker. Although here I am speaking right now. But just naturally, I love to listen. I love to ask people about themselves. And I did think that was somewhat of a negative, because no one knew anything about me. And I've worked through that a little bit as well. I do share more about myself. But just to share one more example that came up for me was that when I was younger, you guys might remember, but the Dolly magazines, which for anyone not in Australia is like a teen girl magazine, and they always had these quizzes in them. And there was a quiz around how well do you know your best friend? And I did this with a group of my friends. We were like 12 years old. I could answer every single question about them. And the questions were just like, what is their favorite food? What's their favorite sport? Or what do they love to do? I could answer every single question about every single friend that I had. They could not answer one question about me. And that has really stuck with me, because I thought that was a negative. I thought that was something that meant I needed to be louder. Maybe I needed to talk more. Maybe I needed to come out of my shell more, and I'm doing that in inverted commas for those listening on the podcast. But I always thought that. And I've realized that is actually a huge strength. I knew everything about them. I could be a better friend. I listened. I could be there to support them if they needed. And that was actually a huge strength. The part where they didn't know anything about me was probably something that I have worked on, and that partly came due to confidence as well. But I didn't have to be the loudest one there to be powerful, to have strength, to make an impact. And so I really want you guys to take that away today. If you take anything, is that you are powerful. You are making an impact. You can be successful. You can be confident. You don't have to be the loudest one in the room to be any of those things. Because I'm not. I'm not the loudest one in the room. If you put me in a room with even 10 people, even 100 people, I am probably not the one who's going to be the loudest or the one doing the most talking. However, I know my strengths and I know the value that I can provide and share with people and the impacts that I can make with my one-on-one coaching clients, with my members in my membership. The impacts that I've made on their lives by possibly being a quieter person is huge. And when you guys realize that, the power that you have within you is already there. It's already there. You just have to start realizing that. You have to start believing that and seeing that for a strength and not a weakness. Because you are strong. And I hope that you guys can take that away from this. Please do reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. Please send me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram is at jess.williamson8. If you don't already follow me over there, please come over and let me know what you thought of this episode. It is a little bit different to what I normally share, but it all comes back down to that mindset, that growth, and believing in yourself, getting out of your own way to unleash your potential, to follow your dreams. Anything really is possible. And so that's what I want to instill in all of you today. So I hope you took a lot away from that. And there's going to be a ton of powerful introverts out there. If you are interested in learning more, I will be talking more about this throughout my channels because I want to be someone who can speak about these things that no one's really speaking about. But secondly, a book that you might really enjoy is called Quiet by Susan Kane. And that is an amazing book. It's all about this. It's all about the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. And that was a great book for me. I was already partway on my self-discovery journey and I decided I needed to check this book out. And I'm glad that she has been spreading this message. So I came on here to share a bit of my personal experiences to hopefully inspire some of you that you can do it. You can do anything that you set your mind to because I've done it. I never would have thought I would be here. If you told me this 5 years ago, there's no way I would be here sharing this message, jumping on a podcast, jumping on a video, and sharing that message with you all. So if I can do it, you guys can do it too. So I hope you all have an amazing day. Please do screenshot this podcast, share it to your social media, because the more that we can spread the word about this podcast, the more impact I can make on your lives, on people you know, and just on the world. So it would mean the world if you could screenshot this podcast, share it to Instagram stories, make sure you tag me so that I can share the love right back. And please do subscribe and leave a review if you feel like it. It would really mean a lot as well. So I hope you all have an amazing day. Stay tuned for more podcast episodes. Otherwise, I look forward to chatting to you more on Instagram. Speak to you guys soon.